Hello, everyone, and welcome to Stronger Together, using Thrively's parent portal to fuel student growth. Thank you all so much for your yes today and bringing open hearts and open minds into this space. We know that your time is valuable, especially as parents and caregivers, and we're grateful you chose to spend the next 45 minutes with us. My name is Jasmine Cox, Customer Success Manager here at Thrively, former principal, and just like many of you, a parent trying to raise confident, expressive, beautifully complex children in a world that moves very fast. So today we're focusing on something simple but powerful. How the Thrively Parent Portal helps us understand our children more deeply so we can support their growth with clarity, connection, and confidence. So I'm joined today by Dr. Angela Brooks, who will share her perspective as both an educator and as a mom a little later in this session. So before we dive in, I want to start with a quick pulse check. Just a moment to see how everyone is arriving in this space today. So, a quick pulse check really helps us understand the energy in the room and it gives us a starting point for the work that we'll do together today. As parents, as caregivers, as educators, we rarely get asked that question, and it matters for how we take in information. So, let's take a moment to check in with ourselves. So, on the screen, you'll see a number of GIF images, nothing scientific, just a quick gauge of your energy in this moment. Maybe you're feeling like I'm here and I'm ready to learn, or I'm curious, but I'm actually really tired, or my brain is in six places at once, or I'm hopeful, but also overwhelmed. Whatever resonates, go ahead and drop your number in the chat. There is no right or wrong answer. This is simply a way for us to honor our own full personhood the same way we want to honor our children's. So I'll start by modeling. I am a number 5 today. Dr. Brooks, I see you added in the chat. You said that you're a number 6.
I am. Yes.
Yes, yes, I feel a solid number 5. Thank you all for responding in the chat. Love to see a few more responses there. How are you feeling and functioning? How are you showing up in this space today? 3, yes, yes, thank you.
I almost put that one too.
Doing just good, doing good. Thank you. I appreciate everyone taking a moment for that. If there's one thing that I know as a parent, it's that how we enter the day shapes everything that comes after. And this is the same, it's true for our kids. So let's really shift into the why of this session and why it's so important and what it means for you and your family. So, again, thank you all for taking that moment to check in. Before we dive deeper into the session, I want to quickly walk through what you can expect over the next 45 minutes. So, today's session again, 45 minutes, and we'll move through a focused set of topics designed to give you clarity and practical takeaways. You can submit questions at any time using the Q&A box or even the chat box. So feel free to drop any questions as they arise. Webinar certificates will be emailed to all of the registered participants within 48 hours. These can be helpful for personal records or your continuing learning portfolios. And a full recording of today's webinar, along with any reference resources, will also be emailed within 48 hours. If you'd like Thrively to support your learning community, whether that's a school, a co-op, a micro school, or another setting, we just really want to connect with you. So I'm going to place a link in the chat where you can share your contact information or introduce us to your learning leader. So now that we've grounded ourselves in the logistics, I'd love to take a moment to introduce myself and share the lens I'm bringing into our conversation today. I've been looking forward to this conversation. Again, my name is Jasmine Cox, and I serve as a customer success manager here at Thrively. So before joining the team, I spent years as a school leader, a principal, and instructional coach, supporting educators and families in creating learning environments where all children feel seen and they feel capable. But the most important title I hold is mom. That's the most important one. I have two children, Marley and Lincoln, whose strengths, their personalities, and ways of navigating the world have really shaped the way that I think about learning and connections. So, like many of you, I'm continuously balancing structure, curiosity, emotions, and the very real need to understand who my kids are beneath the surface. That's so important. And this is why I care so deeply about strengths based, asset based learning and why this parent portal matters. Why does this portal matter? Why does Thrively matter? It isn't just a tool. It's a way to give families the visibility, the language, and the insight we often wish that we had sooner. So today I'll be walking you through what that parent portal looks like, again, some resources, how to make sense of it, and how to bridge what you see on the screen to what you experience at home. But before we get into the platform, I want to introduce you to someone who is very special to me. She brings a powerful dual perspective as both an educator and as a parent. So I'm excited to bring in Dr. Angela Brooks, who will share more about who she is and the heart that she brings to this work. Dr. Angela?
Yes, thank you. And thank you so much for having me and allowing me in this space, and for all of you and your time this morning. Yeah, I am the founder of iLab Igniting Love with Dr. Angela Brooks. And the one clear conviction that I stand in is that love is the foundation to flourishing children and youth. And when we think about the definition of love, it really is this space of, can we honor our full personhood and their full personhood and teach that space and grace, right? That we're not going to be perfect humans. And the more we get to know ourselves, the more we walk through life, we will require some space and grace to grow and stretch and do it all with love and grace. And so that's how I led my building. I previously was a principal in the South Chicago 6th through 12th grade building. I was a teacher, director of talent, and then previously a state transformation coach for schools, leadership coaching. And now I lead trainings and host group coaching. So lots of space for women and educators to come together and really hold up our next generation. Thrively is near and dear to my heart because I do think we need to start with the strengths and see the genius of every kid. And we need to do that as adults. So I'm also, my favorite title is mom, like you, Jasmine. And Eliana and I love to just experience life and travel and just find the joy.
I love that so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Brooks. I really appreciate it. And
Yeah.
again, thank you for your time. And I shared earlier that I'm just so excited. I've been so excited about this webinar and all the wealth of knowledge and all the things I have learned just through
Oh,
conversations with you over this last year. So I feel like we should get down to the nitty gritty
yeah.
of it. So, I want to be able to transition us to one question, a simple question that guides everything that we do at Thrively and everything we hope you'll take away today. One simple, powerful question. What's wrong with you? That's it. This question represents a mindset shift that so many of us as parents really wish we had experienced earlier in our own schooling, right? Instead of asking our children what's wrong or what needs fixing, we ask, what's strong with you? What's unique? What's powerful about you? And how can we build from there? So for families, this shift matters because it helps us understand our children beyond their grades, beyond their behavior, or their routines. It really gives us language for the things that we, as the parents, already know about our kids, but that we haven't always had the words for. It really opens the door for better communication with teachers, their coaches, and their caregivers. And most importantly, it helps our children feel seen for who they truly are, not for who they're supposed to be. So, this strengths based lens is the foundation for how we humanize learning at home. It's how we create environments where kids feel capable, where they feel curious, and where they feel connected in whatever learning setting that they're in. So on the screen, you'll see one of my favorite Thrively resources, the What's Wrong With You poster. In schools, we encourage educators to place it by their classroom doors, wherever it can be visible, but it's also applicable at home. It's just as powerful. It can go on the refrigerator, it can go near a homework station, it can even go on their mirror. We have it on our mirror, or anywhere that your child can see it daily. It is a simple visual cue that helps children reframe their thinking. I am not coming into this day as a problem to solve. I am coming in with strengths. And we've seen families use this one poster to spark everyday conversations like, what strength do you want to use today? Where did you feel most like yourself today? What's something you did that reflects your creativity, your leaderships, your empathy? Small moments, but big impact. So, if what's strong with you is the foundation, what does today's journey look like from here? So, we're going to walk through what this looks like through our session. So, by the end of our time together, you will navigate and interpret the key features of our parent portal, apply strategies to initiate and sustain strengths-based conversations at home, assess current communication practices and implement methods to reduce gaps between home and school, and implement targeted outreach strategies to strengthen that family involvement throughout the school year. Short list, not a long to do. Short things to do, actionable things that we can do. So now that we've named what we hope you'll walk away with, we want to pause and talk about why this work matters and why this conversation is so important for families. So, as a former school leader and as a mom, I know how easy it feels to be disconnected from what's happening in your child's day. Sometimes you only get information when something's going wrong, a missing assignment, a no home, a moment of struggle. But the truth is, most of the magic, the curiosity, the growth, and the strength building, we really never get to see that. So, our parent portal was created to change that, to give families that visibility, that understanding, and a shared language to support your children with confidence instead of confusion. And this idea, this partnership looks different in every family. So, Dr. Brooks, I actually love to bring you in here because you are living this in real time as both an educator and as a mom. So, can you share just a recent experience you had advocating for Eliana and how knowing her strengths really
Yes.
shifted this whole conversation?
Yes, thank you. So, Eliana started kindergarten this year from a age level perspective, right?
Yeah.
And we started to see signs in her pre-K and early childhood school experience that she was going to be possibly a little bit past the kindergarten level,
Mm-hmm.
academically, socially, and emotionally. So I, as a parent, tried to preempt and go into the school and talk with the principal to say, this is what I'm seeing. What are some resources? How can we partner and support? And it was kind of like, yeah, we see this all, often. And so now it's December 3rd. So December 1st literally was the first time that I was able to sit down and say, I really need you to hear me, right? Because it was narratives about why Eliana might be having a hard time or might be showing up or doing the things that she's doing. And I simply just said, I want you to know I hear your concerns. I've worked in education for 27 years. I understand the kind of bell curve, and we've got a child that is outside of things that even I've ever known. So,
Yeah.
what can we do? But what I do know is that Thrively supported me in this assessment, and I know her to be kind, generous. So, her strengths are the compassion, adaptability, and verbal skills. So, when
Wow.
there was a narrative of, oh, well, we're worried about moving her up to a next grade level,
Mhm.
um, socially and emotionally, I said, let's cut that conversation short because we already have the data. We know that she is absolutely ready. She demonstrates flexible thinking.
Mm.
And so Thrively gave me her strengths and a way that I could verbalize and build that partnership versus like an us versus them. And it was a beautiful conclusion because then it was the principal, the gifted and talented director, and the teacher, and we all were like, okay, yes, we're seeing that this one needs a little something different. And we all agreed we're just going to be flexible and in touch because we don't know what that's like. And that's okay
Yes.
as long as we keep cultivating the strengths of, and I think of all of them, right? And I said this to them. It's not just about Eliana getting her needs met. It's like, how are we all coming from our strengths? And I'm even willing as a parent to help out. What does that partnership look like? It was a really beautiful outcome.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. I got the
Yeah.
goosey just talking about it. So, like, and I think so many parents here can relate to this moment. Knowing your child so deeply at home and wanting the rest of the world to see that same brilliance. And for me, it looks like Marley's assertiveness showing up in leadership moments one day and in very passionate, debates the next day. Or for my Lincoln, just his creativity spilling into his performances and new opportunities. And when I view their behaviors through the lens of their strengths, I respond differently. I
Yeah.
do, with more empathy, more insight, and just more confidence. How are we navigating this space in this very moment? What do you need? Can I support you? So now that we've talked about why this work matters, we want to go a little bit deeper into the power of strengths-based conversations and how they shape the way our children see themselves. So as parents, the conversations we have with our children shape the stories they tell about themselves. We know that the language, how we show up for them, how we represent them, how we present them to others. So when we use straight-spaced language, we shift the tone again from what's wrong to what's strong. And
Mhm.
that shift does something powerful. It helps our kids anchor their identity in what is working, not just in what needs correcting. So now this doesn't mean we ignore challenges. It just means we don't start with them. Strengths-based conversations really helps kids build confidence, understand who they are, and recognize their own capacity in everyday moments. And parents often, we see those shifts at home, not just in academics, but in behavior, their resilience, their emotional regulation. So, Dr. Brooks, I know this is something that, you and I talked about earlier this week, but you talk about with families. So, can you share how strengths-based language has shifted conversations in your home, especially during those moments when emotions are big or advocacy is
Yeah.
needed?
Yeah. Um, I think the most important conversation that plays over in my head, right, is this idea of having a bad day.
Mm-hmm.
And, Eliana has big feelings. Lots of kids do. And she would
Yeah.
have super big feelings from big love emotions to big
Mm-hmm.
reactions when I would put some boundaries in place.
Yep.
And one of the things I would always say to her is, does this mean that we had a bad day? Or does this mean this is just a hard moment and we can, use our flexible thinking to move through it?
That's
And
good.
literally, when I just started that conversation of the reframe, it was also teaching for me, right? So I do this because I love the learning and the regulation that it does for me.
Yeah.
As soon as we shift into this, okay, let's move out of our amygdala and let's move into a regulated state. Doesn't
Mm,
mean we don't get mad, of course.
right.
Everybody can have big feelings.
Right.
And what do we do with that information to bring us back down to a grounded space to be productive as we move forward? And I will tell you that when I keep top of mind, hold on a second, how are we remembering our strengths, remembering this is just a hard moment in time and we did and celebrate what do we need from each other to move forward? It has really brought calm to our family.
Wa- Wow. And I just want to echo this for a second and really pinpoint something I found to be special. When I was becoming a parent and preparing all the books that I would read and all the things that I was like, I need all this knowledge. And what I just heard you say was really this strengths-based conversation didn't require a big speech. It didn't
No,
require perfect parenting. They
no,
show up in just simple everyday moments, and that is so impactful there. Like I can't tell you how many books that I've read, and my library is full of things, but just the authenticity behind those strengths-based conversations, it didn't require much. It
no.
didn't require me to be perfect. It was just awareness, right? So for me, it's saying things like, I see your curiosity today. Tell me what you discovered. Or your leadership showed up when you helped your brother. I talk about that with my daughter all the time. Or your persistence really carried you through that assignment. How did that feel? Even like you said, when we're having a hard moment, her persistence showed up. We got through it, we had the emotions, and now let's circle back to talk about how you felt now that we have completed that. So when we name our strengths out loud, our kids really begin to recognize them internally. They start to even use that language themselves. I talk about it all the time. My top strength is patience. My daughter Marley's is assertiveness, which is so funny, but being able to switch the language, growing up being assertive meant you were bossy. So now
Right.
to hear her say, I'm just being assertive, it tickles me so much. But being able to hear her call out that strength and use that language, it the way it just kind of like pushes everybody else to want to know more. How does she know that about herself? I just love those authentic conversations. So over time, it just really builds that emotional safety, that confidence, and the agency. It gives us
Mhm.
the language, like in the reference points to really speak and spark these conversations more intentionally.
I
So,
have something.
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry,
Yes,
I wanted to add something.
absolutely.
And when I think about like Eliana's persistence, let's say, there are times that her persistence triggers me, right? And
Mhm.
I'm not my best self responding. And
Yeah.
so, strengths based conversation also says, oh, I recognize that my response to your persistence was not
Mm.
supporting. And I recognize that that's a strength of yours. So great. And how do we both get our needs met? Let's
Wow.
problem solve together. Right? So it doesn't always have to be this like, I always call it like rainbows and unicorns where we're
Yes. Yes,
we're
yes,
talking
yes,
about
yes.
your strengths all the time because sometimes
Yes.
that doesn't resonate. It's like, no, I messed up as a parent. It's okay.
Mm.
Let's go back and course correct because what you were doing was using one of your strengths.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. 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 That's good. Yeah, I needed to hear that again. Assertiveness and patience. I needed to level set. That was really good. Thank you for sharing that. So now that we have this framework, I've been really like excited about this part. Now switching to the practical. This is
Mhm.
something that every parent, every caregiver, if you're in homeschool or micro school or just any learning partner that you bring in to help support your children can use even today. And I want to pause here because this next piece I believe, is truly Dr. Brooks's brilliance. This is her framework, her heart work, and one of the most powerful tools she brings to families. So on the screen, you'll see the Igniting Love prompt, 3 simple moments of connections as soon as you wake up, when you reconnect after school and before bed. So this is a part of Dr. Brooks's 9-minute connection strategy. Again, I just shared that I was so excited when she shared this with me. I've been able to implement this at home. It is a
Yeah.
framework that has transformed the way that so many families, just like myself, support their children emotionally, cognitively, and relationally. And it has even had an impact on me as the adult in this space. So rather than me trying to explain it, I want you to hear it directly from the expert. So, Dr. Brooks, can you walk us through these 3 moments and help us understand why these 9 minutes are so impactful, not just for our children, but for us as parents too?
Yeah, thank you. So, this is based in our neuroscience and connection. Um, and so the research says that when we focus on these 9 minutes of the day, we are building healthy emotional systems in our kids. I would also say we're also unlearning and relearning and new learning as the parent,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
What it can do for us in these 9 minutes. So, the first 3 minutes block that I want you to think about is what happens as soon as you wake up and as soon as your sweet baby wakes up. When I say sweet babies, I mean literally from newborn babies to 23. They're
Absolutely.
all babies.
Absolutely. They're all babies. Yes, absolutely.
Um, and so the very first thing that I say when I see Eliana is, I'm so glad to see you. I'm so happy to see you this morning. And that is a really intentional move that I learned that I wanted to start implementing because that tells her brain you are safe, it is calm, and we are going to move into our day. And so the next thing, we just been like, okay, remember you set your outfit out already. She has to decide now, is it PE or is it music? And she wants to pick her outfit. And so we've made a lot of those decisions so that the decision making fatigue doesn't kick in and overwhelm our nervous system for both of us,
Wow.
right? So these first 3 minutes are what are we doing instead of like, hurry up, get up, you gotta hurry. Because
Hmm.
that was a thing, right? And I'm a single mom, guys. So that was a thing when she was little, getting her to her preschool and then I'm like, hold on, you teach this for a living.
Yeah.
Let's reset.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so when I started doing the research, it's like, okay, how are we spending those first few minutes? What are you looking forward to today? Who do you
Wow.
think is going to make you smile? Who do you want to make smile? Is there something that you're doing in school that you're excited to continue from yesterday? She loves to write, so she'll tell me about that. And
Yeah.
so those, as soon as we wake up, right? Instead of, oh, we can get to that when we get to the car, let's reverse that. Or when we get to the walk to the bus stop, or whatever that commute looks like when we're sending them off to their learning, even if it's, down to the next
Yeah.
room in your house, in your case,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
It's literally, what are we saying intentionally to our children? And this is interesting. I taught this at a school district, and I had teenagers, high schoolers in the room because they were watching the younger siblings so the parents could learn. And the teenagers were listening, and they said in the middle of the learning, "Oh my gosh, I wish someone would talk to me in the morning."
Wow.
Yes. So we
Wow.
think our older babies are like, they got this, they can handle
Yeah.
themselves. And really, they just wish they had someone in the morning to check in on them and say, "Good morning. I hope you have a great day. I love you. What are you excited about?
Yeah.
Anything going on today? Good luck at your basketball game." And sure, they got that support through text messages, but really, they craved that one
Mm.
on one attention. And it's our neuroscience, right? It's our oxytocin. Connecting physically and in person absolutely helps build those happy chemicals in our brain.
Wow.
So that's your first. So I'll give you a moment if you want to just kind of think to yourself, or if you're taking notes on your cell phone. It's the first 3 minutes as soon as you wake up. What are those intentional things that you want to commit to?
Wow, I love that. And Dr. Brooks, I saw some hands being raised in the room. So please feel free to drop anything in the chat that you want to share, any questions. I am so excited that I saw some hands being raised. So thank you. Loving taking this moment to reflect. Everything's a rush and a hustle and bustle for me in the mornings, and being able to really ground myself and talk about how it impacts not only my nervous system, but theirs when that day starts, already overwhelming. So being
Right.
able to sit and reflect on what does that look like as soon
Mhm.
as we wake up. That is a
And people will say, "Oh, what if we don't have the 3 minutes and my kids are, I don't have a minute to myself for my
Mhm.
prayer time or my reflection in my journal or 10-minute walk, whatever, right? Any little strategy." And I'm like, that's okay. It's 3 minutes of being intentional with our language
Mm.
and just saying, "I see you and I honor you." 3 minutes, right? And then the other stuff, when you get to it, you can get to it. It does matter. And that's space and grace, right?
Wow.
Okay. Are we ready to move to the next one?
I think so.
So the next is when you reconnect. Now, I put after school because we're talking about school age children here, but
Yeah.
it literally could be, maybe your kiddo's old enough and comes home by themselves or with a sitter or nanny or neighbor or whatever, right? But it's that reconnection with their main caregiver, those few minutes. So I want
Mm.
y'all to think about what happens when that your child comes up the stairs or into the room, whatever that transition is, right? If you have micro school at your house, when you are reunited, it is so important, again, to pause and make that connection and say, "I see you. I'm so happy to see you. Tell me about your day." We use spot books, so we use that language. That's a great resource. What spot do you have now that you're coming home? Is there something that made you smile? What are you most proud of today? I love asking her that question because that's really teaching that agency. And it's
Mm.
so cute because now she'll start to ask me, she's a little conversationalist, "Mama, what are you proud of today?
Wow.
What went well for your day?" And I'm like, "Thanks for asking." And it really warms my heart, right? To think about, okay, how are we reconnecting? Because I will tell you, I got into the habit, I was still having a meeting. I would be on my phone, closing out with a school leader or something at the end of the day and grab her from school. and I just wasn't fully present. And I just noticed I was heightened. Had less patience. And it just created an environment that wasn't just calm. And I said to myself, we can take 3 minutes. And so my rule for myself is that I know her bus comes at 3:40. And so in my schedule, I am at the bus stop at 3:40. So from 3:40 to 3:50, even to just get back in our house, I'm fully present with her. And then I might say, okay, mama has to finish another meeting. And she understands that. That's not my first choice, but at least I've spent those minutes reconnecting, getting her snack, hearing something great, sharing something about the day, and then we can move into our evening. That's also a reset to say, okay, how are we going to spend the next 4, 5, 6 hours? Remember, it's gymnastics. Again, being proactive and responding instead of allowing stress to get our reaction, instead
Wow.
of allowing fast pace to get a reaction.
That's
Calming our nervous system, giving us some dopamine to get motivated, right? And so that's the middle when we reconnect. And then the last one is before bed. This is my favorite time. It did not used to be my favorite time, I will tell you. You know, a lot of parents love bath time.
yeah.
I did not love bath time. And I had a lot of self-talk about that and like guilt. And then I was like, okay, but if you don't love that part of the evening, that's okay. What matters here? And that's what prompted my research to dig a little deeper. And it's literally right before bed. So I've seen things like you are safe, you are loved, you know, I value you as a human. I value everything that you bring. Thanks for your flexible thinking. Or today I noticed, and share something I noticed that she did that was great, or it made my mama heart happy, or again, just revisiting what are you proud of. So we have a routine that we read. And she loves chapter books now. So sometimes she'll read, sometimes I'll read. But that last few moments of just kind of snuggle in.
Mhm.
And again, I ask her. And so as she's grown up and changed, I ask her, what do you need right before you go to bed? What would feel good for you? And
Mhm.
she's a physical touch. That is her love language. And so I would say our sweet babies, as they get older, what do they need? When was the
Yeah.
last time we checked in with our kids to say, what would make your heart feel good right before you go to bed? And again, when I taught this, some of those teenagers' responses were like, I just want a conversation with my mom or dad, like to tell them about my volleyball game and how it went. Or it's like, it's not that they can't come, that was the issue. I just want to like share with them what's
Yeah.
going on in my life.
Yeah.
And even like they're like, yeah, I don't need them to like tuck me in literally, but it would be nice to have them come kind of up to the room and just be like, "Good night, I love you. You know, do you want to share
Yeah.
anything?" It was
Wow.
fascinating because I made assumptions that they were like, we don't want parents anywhere near our space.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow.
And so again, it's these critical moments of also sharing what do you need, right? So sometimes Eliana is like, I don't want a hug right now. And I'm like, okay, mama would really like a hug and I'm gonna respect your body.
Yes.
It's your
Yes.
choice.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, just thinking about, okay, the morning, kicking off our day, 3 minutes, regulated, reconnection, and then before bed. This is from the parenting perspective. I do want to share for those of us that might be the educators that also have like our teachers or educators. This does because they'll say, well, we don't have control over what parents can control, you know, this time of day. And I'm like, right, but let's take it to our buildings. And
Mm.
so it's those first 3 minutes when they cross the threshold, whether it's in our school building, in our classroom, in our small group. And it doesn't need to be extensive 3 minutes, but it's literally being intentional with
Yeah.
how are we recognizing and honoring and saying, I see you and I can't wait to learn with you, right?
Yeah.
And then maybe it's like after recess or after lunch. For our older children, maybe it's they can only see the social worker or someone that they've bonded with their band teacher once a week.
Mhm.
But that reuniting is really important to build that connection.
Wow.
And then that end of day. The most bang that you can get for your buck is absolutely having an intentional send off. I have a principal that I love. She's a principal of a high school, and she's always like, if no one told you today they loved you, please remember I love
I
you.
love
Go
that.
home and be safe, right? And she does it over the intercom. And just how can we bring joy and love and celebration at the end of our days so that our kids are wrapped up in a nice, neat bow going off to their next thing, knowing that that's telling their brains, we can't wait to see you tomorrow. And their brains say, I can't wait to go back to that place to be
Mhm.
with those humans.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. This is why I was so excited. It's a wealth of knowledge. And again, I just want to say openly, I shared earlier when Dr. Brooks first shared this with me, it really grounded me. It wasn't just helpful as a professional, but it just grounded me as a mom. It really helped me understand what was happening in my home and in my children's hearts and even in their own nervous systems when the day gets overwhelming. Everything is so fast paced here at my home
Yeah.
all the time, especially this time of year. So being able to have those conversations and the simplicity of just this alone, 9 intentional minutes, like you said, really created that connection without adding pressure. So when I layered that, well, what I know about my kids' strengths, these 9 minutes became some of the most meaningful moments of our day,
Mm, mm.
most
Awesome.
meaningful moments for us. So, again, this 9 minute connection strategy gives us this framework for building intentional relationships with our children. Dr. Brooks, thank you so much for really
Yeah.
going in depth and detail about that. It's always best to hear it from you. Even just really pulls me in every time that I hear you talk about the 9 minute connection strategy.
Yeah.
So, we're going to talk about the parent portal. That's why we're here. So on the screen, you'll see a few examples of what the parent portal looks like from the parent view. This space gives families clear insights into your child's strengths, their habits, their reflections, and even their aspirations all in one place. So a few things that I just want to highlight really quickly. The strengths assessment. You're just talking about strengths. That assessment is completely free. Every child can take the full strengths assessment at no cost, and you can see the detailed profile, their strengths profile, inside the parent portal immediately. This includes their top 5 strengths in affirming language, a narrative explanation of each strength, and guidance about how these strengths show up day to day. The second thing is the parent portal is also free. All of the features that you're seeing here, their strengths, their habits, their interests, their aspirations, reflections, are available to every family. This is the heart of the homeschool bridge. You get a fuller, clear picture of your child, and you're better equipped for meaningful conversations and advocacy, that partnership. And then also we have our strengths roadmap, which is an optional paid resource that we have. So you'll notice in the screenshot a button labeled download roadmap. This roadmap, again, is an optional add on feature that goes even deeper into your child's unique strengths. It includes full pages that unpack each strength, offer strategies for growth, and provide future pathways related to these strengths. So families choose to go, dig a little bit deeper, use the roadmap when they want a more personalized guide for nurturing their strengths at home, language for talking with their teachers or any person that's a part of their learning community, or any ideas for enrichment and activities that align with their child's strengths. It's simply an extra layer of support. It is absolutely helpful. I enjoyed reading my daughter and my son's roadmap. And then the fourth thing that I love, one of my favorite features, is that you can even share these strengths and their results directly with their teachers, with any leaders, with their coaches, any support or any adult that is supporting your child's learning. So that really gives educators instant insight into your child's strengths, just like Dr. Brooks talked about a little bit earlier, in their learning styles, not just their academic performance, which strengthens the partnership between home and school. So, Dr. Brooks, just from your dual perspective, again, as both a mom and an educator,
Mhm.
how does having this view support the partnership between home and school?
Yeah. As you were speaking, I was just thinking that it is such a gift because her teacher is amazing.
Mhm.
And there's so much happening with meeting the needs of 25, 29 learners
Yeah.
that I don't think she saw the side. There just wasn't
Mm,
time and a
mhm.
conversation for her to see some of the strengths that I brought up that surfaced through
Wow.
our assessment.
Wow.
And so you could just see her brain, the aha in her brain and her desire she was like, oh my gosh, okay. Like I literally saw her processing, putting into action what
Mm.
she could do as she was going to go be reunited because we met at like 11 in the morning. So after
Yeah.
lunch, she was that afternoon, and she was like, okay, I can't wait to like start to look for those things in her and find moments to draw that out of her.
Yeah.
So I think it's amazing to also be able to say to the school, you know, here's something that maybe you don't see that we see. And then what are you
Mhm.
seeing at school that I should be celebrating?
Mhm.
Um, and then we all have common language,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. We know that when we understand our child's strengths, the connection at home becomes deeper, our advocacy becomes clearer, and the learning partnership becomes stronger. So, this portal really gives families the language, just like you said, the insight and the confidence to really support our children in intentional ways every single day.
You know
So,
what it also
yeah,
does?
go ahead.
I
Absolutely.
want to share one more thing.
Of course.
I think it also gives us as parents permission to not have all the answers.
That's good. That's good.
And what I mean by that is sometimes as parents, there's this pressure like, well, I know my kid. And it's like, hold on. We know our kid, and we can only know so much based on our experiences and our learning through
Mhm.
life. And so I always like to think about what is the what else? What else may I not be understanding about my child because my view, my experience, my perspective is viewing it in a certain way.
Wow.
Let's take the assertiveness strength, right? If we're thinking from like a parent and compliance perspective, we may not see it as a strength.
Mhm.
And so it's helping us say, oh, okay, I'm learning to reframe and see it as that's a strength and let's
Yeah.
figure out how to use it in a productive way
Yes. Yes.
versus entering into a power struggle.
Love that. Yes, that was, I love that you added that. So now we're here. We're at the end of our time together. Man, so impactful. We want to make the next step incredibly simple. Here's your one next step. Have your child complete the Thrively Strengths Assessment. That's it. If they've already taken it, we can revisit their strengths profile together, do it with them, have a 5-minute conversation, those 9 minutes, take one of those, and it really can open the door to deeper understanding and connection. Everything begins with this first step, understanding your child's strengths and starting the conversation. So, recap and takeaways. Here we are. We're going to lead with strengths at home. We're going to use the parent portal to understand our children more deeply. We're going to practice the 9-minute connection strategies, my favorite. And then from there, we're able to practice with our children's learning community. And we're going to take that one action this week, have our children take the strengths assessment. So I want to highlight one of our upcoming Thrively webinars that may
Oh,
be valuable to you or to someone in your learning community. On the screen, you'll see a QR code. You can go ahead and scan that with your phone if you'd like to register while you're here. Our next session is Educators Speak Out, the Power and Impact of Connections. We want you to now hear it from the parent side, I mean, from the teacher side. We want you to hear from the educators leading in this work. What does that connection look like from them? This webinar brings together educators to share real stories and practical strategies around building connections in learning environments. If this speaks to you or someone you know, feel free to use a QR code or we'll send you a link in the follow up email to sign up or for you to pass along. But I also want to make sure you have a way to stay connected with Dr. Brooks. Her work continues far beyond today's session, and she offers powerful support for families navigating everyday life and everything in between. So on the screen, you'll see her beautiful picture with Eliana, but you'll also see her website and her Instagram link. Feel free to follow her, reach out, or explore her upcoming offerings if you like more tools to deepen this work at home. Dr. Brooks, would you like to add anything here? Any
no.
additional ways you can stay connected or any new things that you have coming up?
We just have a launch of a parenting course that is available in January. And I have Women in Leadership Mastermind. So any women want to come and join that. But yeah, I'm here for whatever you need. I respond to emails. We can get on a 10-minute call. I'm happy to support all of the babies.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I just, again, want to take a moment and say thank you and how much I value our partnership with
Thank
each other and how amazing and impactful your work has been on our work here at Thrively. So thank you again. And thank you all for spending this time with us today. Thank you again for your yes. It has been truly a privilege to learn with you and to share space of, with the community of parents and caregivers who care so deeply about our children's growth and well-being. So if you'd like to stay connected with Thrively, you can follow us on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram, or visit thrively.com for additional resources and videos and tools to support strengths-based, asset-based learning at home. All right. And as you continue your week, I hope you'll keep returning to that powerful question we explored together today. What's strong with you? And what's strong with your child? Again, that simple statement, that simple question at home truly can shape their confidence, their connection, and the way our children walk through this world every day. So, again, thank you for being here. We're grateful for your presence and for the love and intention you bring to your child's journey. We look forward to stay connected. Let's continue to humanize learning. We hope each and every one of you have an amazing rest of your day.
Have a great day.